I was listening to Warren Buffett recently. He said, someone asked him about a measure of success. And he said, well, first of all, it has nothing to do with your level of wealth. The big question of whether you've been successful is at the end of your life, do the people you love you?
Tomas, we're going to transition a little bit just to some rapid fire, try to gain from some of the wisdom you've acquired over the years. But I always like to ask people, you've been married a long time. What is your best piece of marriage advice?
Do things together, go on trips together, do challenges together. For us, this has been the key, that we have done things together. And so you could say that we kind of had separate lives up till our little bit of transition, but that's not really true, because we have spent time together. We've gone skiing together. We've done things, invest in each other. That is the most important thing.
What have you found is the key to raising well-adapted children? What are some things you did with your kids that you believe helped along the way?
We had that discussion around the table yesterday, so I know their view. I think that of having the kids actually also have done things together. We've been on trips, we've done things together. They like each other. And when they suddenly go from being kids in the same family to becoming adults and being friends, that shift, this friendship that they build, that works even in the next phase. I also think that we've stayed very open, so they have all kinds of views and ideas and so on. Just having room for that, and not me or anyone else being a dictator for what you can say or not say. That, well, everything is open. Everyone is part of the family.
Can you talk a little bit about you and Tina's journey of generosity, and kind of what you guys are passionate about supporting, and kind of that journey along the way?
Well, the main thing has been, of course, our church, because our church has been so in the middle of this. So in 2015 and 2016, we had all these refugee crises in Europe. The next one is coming now, where Sweden and Germany open its borders. And we have been very much involved in what that means in bringing people together and having people at home, or Tina is involved in everyday's lives with these people. So I think that when you look at it, where we spent the most of our time, it would say that this is where we have invested. We have also invested in the relationships with the missionaries and the organization MEF, where we have served on the field, but that has also led to that I've taken care and been part of working with their management culture on a global scale. I also had a conflict resolving thing that I had to do over the last couple of months, where I jumped in. So we've also invested into that organization. So I'd say, where do we invest time or money and our talents? That is mainly here, I would say. Plus, in this, of course, when we talk about the relationships, which we do together, we do that as couples. So we spend a lot of time with couples and acting as a couple in that process.
What are you most excited about in the next decade? What do you want to focus your time on in this coming decade?
That's not an easy task. I've asked God to give me big assignments. Give me as big as possible, because I love things that I don't know how to solve. I think that for us Europeans, I think that whatever comes now out after the Ukraine-Russian war is going to be a major challenge for all of us. Not only rebuilding Ukraine, the president has asked Sweden, for example, be part of rebuilding some of the cities. It will be part of rebuilding businesses from a very corrupt perspective where they were before into a new way. but it will also be into using our relationships into Russia. I have a guy working for me, Lloyd has met him, Andreas. He's lived 13 or 14 years in Russia. And because there will be a reconciliation process that's needed. And if possible, I'd like to be part of that, throwing everything that I have, everything that I know, all the relationships, and rebuild that, because that will be the new Europe, like we had a new Europe in 1945. This will be a new Europe coming up, and that will affect Africa, Asia, even the US.
Tomas, do you think you and I are ever going to be able to go back to Russia without fear of being put in jail?
Who knows? I hope so. I think things will change, and I think so. Whether they will force us, threaten us to go to jail. Right now, I don't know if I could go to any place in the Middle East as a Swede, because they're burning our flags. And Ayatollah Khamenei in Iran has said that Sweden has started a war on Iran and the Muslim world. So we don't really know what's going to happen. But I think we will. I think we will go, Lloyd. I think we'll be back in St. Petersburg and Moscow again.
That'd be sweet.
Do you have other books? I mean, it sounds like Halftime just had a profound impact on your life. Do you have any other books that have had that kind of impact or similar impact in different areas of your life?
Not like the book, because it was instrumental in leading me onwards. But there are books, of course, that I really do like. Falling Upward, Richard Rohr, for example, means a lot. I know Lloyd reads that. And then you have Second Mountain by, is it David Brooks, New York Times journalist? Good books. So that I read a lot. So I can't say what books. I constantly read books, and it's part of shaping my worldview.
What's bringing you the most joy during this season you're currently in? Do you have grandchildren at this point, or just kids?
No, I don't have grandchildren. I have kids. They have their girls and boyfriends. But I think that what gives me most joy, I mean, the dinner we had yesterday, and my parents-in-law was here also, and when they told their stories, how they came to faith, it wasn't possible not to be, shed a tear. And hear my kids, who are not necessarily, churchgoers, but hear them ask, "How did you find the Lord?" That is fantastic. So I can't think of anything that's better than sit with my family. But then, of course, also working with my friends, having them close, and doing this together with Tina when we do that as a couple. This is when I feel like a fish in the water. This is really my sweet spot. I thought my life was going to be build companies, build structures, and all of that. And of course, I like that as well, because I'm strategic in my thinking. But to do that in deep relationship with others, that is, nothing beats that. And I think this is what heaven is going to look like.
I agree. Lloyd's talked to me a lot about 2-for-1s, where you can do something you enjoy with a friend you enjoy and get a double multiple of your time.
Tomas, what are you learning about loving Tina well, in your 60s versus like when we were, in life was crazy in our 30s and 40s?
Well, I have to understand her language and her signs of both what she likes and what she don't like and where she wants. She's also at crossroads, I think, right now. She has been leading this ministry for 10 years, and I think she's thinking about where should I go from and be part in that process. I think from the halftime perspective, I think this of how do the things that we do over those things in our lives that overlaps. We choose a pattern which is like partly overlapping, not totally, but we do some things together. That takes the most thinking, the most where we have to be
Adaptable.
Yeah, and also because this is where you gotta compromise, you gotta find each other, and even after 34 years of marriage, you still gotta fine tune that.
Yeah, well, like when you flew to Berlin with your little plane when we were there a few weeks ago, and we had dinner at my daughter Carolyn and son-in-law Johann's home in Berlin, and Johann is a super intelligent guy, and we got into some philosophical, historic conversations. And you just are drawn into that. You love that stuff. You know it. And Tina, she said something like, I forget exactly what she said, but it was like, okay, maybe that's enough, like 10 minutes and then stop or something like that. You remember that?
Yeah.
She's a good moderator on that.
She knows what I like and what I don't, and I love that she's like flexible in her way too, because I love those moments where we talk about history and what can it mean for the future. But I need to be. In the past I was so bad at responding to her sweet spots. I think I'm better at that now, and she tells me when I'm not good at it.
Well, that's a big part of that learning, right? Because gosh, when you've been married for a long time, you have to keep evolving and become more sophisticated in your ability to love your spouse extravagantly. And for men, you can get stuck in your ways and you can become grumpy old men. Mm. You got to fight that, because the reason those are both normal expressions is because they're normal behavior patterns. And we should be, when we're 20 years from now at 81 or whatever, Tomas, we should be the most sophisticated, gentle, wise husbands. And you should see in Tina and Linda's eyes just this spark of really being cherished, right? And flourishing.
Yeah. But I know my Tina loves when I take time with the kids. So just driving them somewhere or just helping them I know that gives her. So there are so many things where you learn to see this balance of life, where you intertwine with each other, where you know how can I bless my spouse? Well, I can bless my spouse by doing something for my daughters. And who's the winner? Well, me. It's fantastic. Oh, we all win. So
yeah, I've heard it said that great marriage isn't 50-50, right? It's 100-100, but really, I think the best expression is your best at my expense. Mm. And when you look at Tina at her best at Tomas's expense, in some serendipitous way, you end up with more. Everybody ends up with more richness, more intimacy. And I was listening to Warren Buffett recently. He said, someone asked him about a measure of success, and he said, well, first of all, it has nothing to do with your level of wealth. The big question of whether you've been successful is, at the end of your life, do the people you love you? Hmm. I thought, wow, that is really profound from somebody who could really talk about whether another $1 billion is going to do something for you, right?
Yeah.
Tomas, as we get a little short on time here, I just want to ask you, if you had to go back to 33-year-old Tomas as a newly minted CEO and give yourself advice almost 30 years ago, what advice would you give yourself with the perspective of hindsight?
I'm pretty sure I would do the same things again, because I know myself. But the one advice I would give the young Tomás Brunegård, that is, question your thoughts. I'm a guy that can very easily get I think that I'm on the right track. I can convince myself, and I would more challenge my own thoughts, having them go through a process of more challenge than maybe they did. This was not the case in the beginning, because I had so many people challenge me all the time that I had this process, but I know myself, and I know that I'm an asset to myself, but also I'm a great enemy to myself. I have self-assurance as a strength finder up on my top 5. and I need to challenge myself.
That's great advice. Well, thank you so much. It's fun to see you and Lloyd in your long friendship, and you guys have walked a lot of life together. So thank you for the wisdom you've shared with us today. Thanks for telling your story, and thanks for investing your time in us.
Thank you, Tomas. Love you, and hi to Tina and the kids, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, well, same to Linda and you, and thanks for being such a wonderful friend, Lloyd. I have to say that again, and we'll say it again, because you've been a great friend. We love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the 100X podcast. Please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast service. We would greatly appreciate it if you could rate the show and leave us a review. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor Investments, whose mission is to build America's most generous real estate company. To learn more, please visit anchorinv.com.